Dr. R.K. Radha, Assistant Professor, Department of Statistics, Presidency College, Chennai. She has done her PhD in statistics on a novel approach for prior selection in Bayesian modeling. She has 27 years of teaching experience, has guided 4 MPhil students, published 5 articles in national and international journals, has attended 10 conferences in India. She had given training for staff at Tamil Nadu State Statistical Training Institute, Department of Economics and Statistics.
Welcome to UGC lecture on mathematical sciences. Today's class we are going to discuss about properties of an estimator. So under properties of estimator, we are going to discuss about efficiency and sufficiency of an estimator. So before defining what is an efficient estimator, it is better that you should know the concept of most efficient estimator. So if in a class of consistent estimators for a parameter, there exists one whose sampling variance is less than that of any such estimator, it is called as a most efficient estimator. Now let us analyze this concept through an example. So let x1 etc. up to xn be a random sample from a normal population with mean mu and variance sigma squared. Then you are very much familiar with variance of x bar is nothing but sigma squared by n for all n, and variance of median is nothing but pi sigma squared by 2n for large n. So now you know that pi by 2 is nothing but 1.5757 sigma squared divided by n. Hence your variance of median is nothing but 1.57 sigma squared by n. Now just compare variance of x bar and variance of median. You find that variance of x bar is less than variance of median. So which means that sample mean is more efficient estimator for mu than the sample median for large samples at least, which proves your definition of most efficient estimator, that with one with a lesser variance. Let us define what is called as an efficiency. If T1 is the most efficient estimator with the variance V1 and T2 is any other estimator with the variance V2, then efficiency E of T2 is defined as E is nothing but V1 by V2. And you know that E cannot exceed unity. In other words, E can always lie between 0 and 1. So now let us discuss the concept of efficiency through an example. So here let us consider the following problem. If T1 and T2 are both efficient estimators with the variance n, and if T is nothing but half of T1 plus T2, you have to show that variance of T is n by 2 1 plus rho, where rho is the coefficient of correlation between T1 and T2. Next, we have to deduce that rho is equal to 1, and hence we have to show that T is also efficient. So now let us work out this particular problem. You are given T1 and T2 are most efficient estimator. And variance of T1 and variance of T2 has got the same variance, which is given by n. So let me take this as equation number 1. Given T is equal to half of T1 plus T2, we have to prove that variance of T is nothing but n by 2 into 1 plus rho, where this rho is nothing but correlation coefficient between T1 and T2. So these are the things given to us. Given T1 is most efficient estimator then E is nothing but T1 by T2. You know that E always lies between 0 and 1. Therefore, T1 by T2 is less than or equal to 1, which implies T1 is less than or equal to T2 if T1 is the most efficient estimator. You can also consider instead of T1 as T2. So, for this problem, let me take it as T1 is the most efficient estimator. So, T1 is less than or equal to T2, which let me take it as equation number 2. Similarly, if T2 is the most efficient estimator, you will get T2 is less than or equal to T1. Now, consider T is equal to T1 plus T2 into 1 by 2. Variance of T, consider variance of T which is equal to variance of half of T1 plus T2. You know that variance of a constant is nothing but constant squared into variance. So, it becomes 1 by 4 variance of T1 plus variance of T2 plus 2 into covariance between T1 comma T2. You might wonder why variance of T1 plus T2 becomes variance of T1 plus variance of T2 plus twice of covariance between T1 comma T2. Here T1 and T2 are most efficient estimator which has got the same variance. So, there is some dependency, that is if T1 is a most efficient estimator, T1 is less than or equal to T2. If T2 is the most efficient estimator, then T2 is less than or equal to T1. Hence, you have got twice of covariance between T1 and T2. And you are familiar with the definition of correlation coefficient denoted as rho, which is nothing but covariance between T2 estimators T1 and T2 divided by standard deviation of T1 into standard deviation of T2. So, this implies covariance between T1, T2 is nothing but rho into square root of variance of T1 into square root of variance of T2. So, using this over here, you have variance of T is equal to variance of T1 plus variance of T2 plus 2 into rho of square root of variance of T1 into square root of variance of T2. Everything divided by 4. Now, since variance of T1 and variance of T2 are one and the same, you can replace variance of T1 by variance of T2. Therefore, 1 by 4 of variance of T1 plus variance of T1 plus 2 into rho of square root of variance of T1 into square root of variance of T1. So, this will become 1 by 4 variance of T1 plus variance of T1 plus 2 into rho of, here it is variance of T1. So, everywhere you find variance of T1 is common. So, you can take that as outside. So, you will have 1 plus 1 plus 2 rho. So this will give you variance of T1 plus 2 rho. Now by 4, take 2 outside, it becomes twice of variance of T1 into 1 plus rho divided by 4. So which gives you variance of T1 by 2 into 1 plus rho. Now in your statement of the problem, it is given that T1 and T2 are most efficient estimator with the variance n. So substituting variance of T1 is equal to m, it becomes n by 2 into 1 plus rho. Therefore, you find variance of T is nothing but n by 2 into 1 plus rho, which is what you have to prove. Now you have to go for the second part, that is we have to deduce rho is equal to 1. If T1 is the most efficient estimator, then variance of T1 is less than or equal to variance of T2. This is the general concept. And if T1 is the most efficient estimator than T, then you have got variance of T1 is less than or equal to variance of T, which I can write it as variance of T is greater than or equal to variance of T1. But I have already showed that variance of T is nothing but n by 2 into 1 plus rho. Again here variance of T1 is nothing but n. So n and n will get cancelled out, leaving out 1 plus rho by 2 is greater than or equal to 1, which implies 1 plus rho is greater than or equal to 2, or rho is greater than or equal to 2 minus 1, which is equal to 1. You know that correlation coefficient cannot exceed 1. So which implies that rho is equal to 1. Hence, you have deduced that rho is equal to 1. Now, let us go to the third part of the problem to show that variance of T equal to n. Consider variance of T, which is given as n by 2 into 1 plus rho. So this is equal to n by 2 into 1 plus, in the previous step we have shown that rho is equal to 1. So you will have 1 plus 1, which gives you n by 2 into 2, which is equal to n. Therefore, variance of T is equal to n. So you have shown that given T is equal to n by 2 into T1 plus T2, you have shown 3 parts. One is that you have proved variance of T is equal to n by 2 into 1 plus rho. Secondly, you have shown rho is equal to 1. Third, variance of T is equal to 1, which implies that variance of T is the most efficient estimator. Let us move to the definition of sufficiency. Before going to the sufficiency, it is very important you should know the concept of likelihood function. So if x1 etc. up to xn is a random sample of size n drawn from a population f of x comma theta, then the likelihood function is given by L is equal to L of x1 etc. up to xn comma theta, which we can denote it as L of theta, which is equal to f of x1 comma theta, f of x2 comma theta etc. up to f of xn comma theta, which you can combine this as a single statement as product of f of xi comma theta. Hence your likelihood function L can be denoted as product of f of xi theta. So having known this particular concept, let us move to the definition of sufficiency. If t is equal to t of x1 etc. up to xn is an estimator of a parameter theta based on the sample x1 etc. up to xn of size n from the population with the density function f of x comma theta such that the conditional distribution of x1 etc. up to xn given t is independent of theta, then you call the statistic t is a sufficient estimator of theta. So here you have got an important note regarding this definition, that is the necessary and the sufficient condition for a distribution to obtain a sufficient statistic is provided by the factorization theorem due to Neyman. This particular theorem is useful in proving the problem or deriving the problem. So let us see what does this particular theorem states. If t is equal to t of x is sufficient for theta if and only if the joint density function or the likelihood function L, say, of the sample values can be expressed in the form L is equal to g of t of x, where this function t of x depends upon theta and h of x. So here in general likelihood function can be written as product of g of x into h of x, where g of x depends only on theta and x only through the values of t of x. H of x is purely independent of theta. Let us discuss through the problem the definition of sufficiency. So what is the first problem? Says that let x1 etc. up to xn be a random sample from a distribution with the probability density function f of x comma theta, which is equal to theta into x power theta minus 1, where theta is greater than 0 and x lies between 0 and 1. You have to find out the sufficient estimator for theta. So now let us see how this problem can be worked out. You have been given that f of x comma theta is nothing but theta into x the power of theta minus 1. So let us consider the likelihood function L of x1, x2 etc. up to xn theta, which I said that you can write it as L, which is nothing but product of f of xi comma theta, where I ranges from 1 to n. So this is nothing but f of x1 comma theta, f of x2 comma theta etc. up to f of xn comma theta. Now you have been given that f of x theta is nothing but theta into x the power of theta minus 1. In the place of x you have to replace x1. So this will become theta into x the power x1 theta minus 1. Next will be theta x2 theta minus 1. So this will go on up to theta xn theta minus 1. Now what we have to do is collect all the thetas. So theta etc. up to theta. Next you have got x1 theta minus 1, x2 theta minus 1 etc. up to xn theta minus 1. So you find that this theta is n times. which I can write it as theta power n. Now I have to combine all these terms as a single term, which I will write it as product of xi power theta minus 1 I is equal to 1 to n, which is my L of theta. Okay, now I have to show that find an sufficient estimator for theta. So how to find the sufficient estimator? Now I am going to introduce the concept of factorization theorem, where I can write this as theta power n product of xi theta minus 1 I is equal to 1 to n into 1, where this term is nothing but g theta of my t of x, and this I can write it as h of x. Therefore, my L of theta is nothing but product of g of theta t of x into h of x. Hence, by Neyman factorization theorem, my L of theta is equal to g theta of t of x into h of x. So, g theta of t of x is the term theta power n product of xi theta minus 1 h of x is equal to 1. My problem is that I have to find out the sufficient statistic for t. So, here as I have said that g of theta t of x has to depend, that is theta has to depend upon the theta and x. That is, in general, t of x will have dependency for theta and x. Therefore, you find product of xi, okay, xi depends upon theta. Therefore, product of xi I is equal to 1 to n is a sufficient estimator. Hence, t is equal to product of xi is a sufficient statistic in the case of this particular problem. So, now let us discuss the problem, second problem, where we have been given that x1 etc. up to xn is a random sample from a Poisson population. Find the sufficient estimator for lambda. So, how to go about this particular problem? The density function of Poisson population with the parameter lambda is given as e power minus lambda power x by x factorial, where your x ranges from 0, 1, 2, 3 etc. up to infinity, okay, and lambda is the parameter. Now, the likelihood function with respect to the parameter theta is nothing but product of f of xi comma lambda I is equal to 1 to n. So, this you can write it as e power minus lambda power x1 by x1 factorial etc. It will go up to e power minus lambda power xn divided by xn factorial. Now, let us collect all the terms e power minus lambda etc. up to e power minus lambda. Collect all the terms. Here you will have lambda x1, lambda power x2 etc. up to lambda power xn. In the denominator you will have x1 factorial etc. up to xn factorial. Now, e power minus lambda you have to multiply n times. So, this I can write it as e power minus n lambda. Next, if your base is same, you can add the powers. So, you will have lambda summation xi. Here once again this x1 factorial etc. up to xn factorial is a product, which I can write it as product of xi factorial I is equal to 1 to n. So, I have found out what is my likelihood function with respect to the Poisson population. Now, I have to find out the sufficient statistics for lambda. Hence, I bring in the concept of Neyman factorization theorem. So, here you have got e power minus n lambda, lambda power summation xi, okay, into xi factorial, that is product of I is equal to 1 to n, which is nothing but my L of lambda. So, you find these particular term, these two terms has the parameter and the parameter depends upon x. Here it is a term which is independent of the parameter. Hence, this particular term you can write it as g theta of t of x, and here h of x, which is my L of lambda. Therefore, I am able to split according to the Neyman factorization theorem. So, if I am able to obtain the concept of Neyman factorization theorem, then I can show or I can find out what is the sufficient statistic. Therefore, you find that lambda is equal to summation xi is the sufficient statistic in the case of Poisson distribution. In today's class, we have discussed what is called as a most efficient estimator. So, the most efficient estimator is the one whose variance is less than any other estimator. Next, we have discussed the concept of efficiency, where efficiency is defined as V1 by V2, okay, where V1 and V2 is the variance of an estimator, and V1 by V2 can happen only if T1 is the most efficient estimator. Next, we have discussed the concept of sufficiency, where the sufficiency is defined as the one which contains all the information in the sample regarding the parameter. Now, to tackle with the problems of sufficiency, we have discussed what is called as the factorization theorem due to Neyman, where the joint density function can be expressed as the product of dependence upon the parameter and x, and the other one which is independent of the parameter. Now, you have got a few questions to be answered. First question, define efficiency of an estimator through an example. Define sufficiency of an estimator and state Neyman factorization theorem. Third question, find the sufficient statistic in the case of uniform distribution over 0, theta. Obtain sufficient estimator for the parameters of normal population. Thank you.